Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today we are going to be reviewing God of War Ragnarok. I know I'm way too late to reviewing this, but I did take my time with the game mainly. Like, I picked up God of War Ragnarok on launch day. But since I took my time, I didn't beat it until shortly before I went on my break for Christmas. So I thought, why not review God of War Ragnarok? So I thought, January, Ignoring and UFOs appeared as just going to be review videos, so I thought the review videos might give me a chance to catch up with some games that I may have gotten my hands on over Christmas. And since I have not completed Scarlet and Violet or Sonic Frontiers yet, I might as well just review God of War Ragnarok to keep people holding for my review. And without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Just as a quick reminder before we start the video, this review does contain spoilers. So if you haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet, watch this video at your own risk. Because I'm not taking responsibility if the game gets spoiled for you. Because I did put the warning here that there's spoilers in this review video. So I do advise you be careful while watching this video, because the review video does contain spoilers. And without further ado, let's get into the review, shall we? For the story, taking place 3 years after God of War 2018, when Fimbulwinter triggered. Of course, we all know, if you have played God of War 2018, God of War 2018 was left on a cliffhanger when Freya's son was killed. So if you haven't played God of War 2018 yet, I don't think you will understand any of, like, the game's first act. Probably because you need to go play the first one before playing Ragnarok, like, literally. And with Midgard, like, becoming a bit too dangerous, or only because of what Freya turned into after her son's death, of course, and with Ragnarok on the way, they literally have to go across the 9 realms in order to stop Ragnarok from happening. And we do meet some interesting characters along the way as well. Like, we meet Sindri, we meet Rataskoska, some new characters like Angrboda with, like, the witchcraft powers and stuff. We have Thor, the God of Thunder, in here. And the main villain being Odin. I didn't really expect Odin to be the main villain when I played through the game. I was mainly expecting Freya to be the villain, only because it did appear that way on the advertisement. But they did take a bit of a turning point within the story. Like, they managed to get Freya to let go over her son's death as well, so I do think the twist they managed to take with the story here, I really enjoyed Odin as a villain, and I would probably say Odin would have to make it as one of my top 10 favourite villains in gaming. And I do think the parts where Atreus goes off into the 9 realms on his own, I didn't mind those parts. It's mainly the parts with Kratos that got me pumped up. But the parts with Atreus on his own, which sometimes may last for hours, I do think was enough to make Atreus' character development a bit more smooth. Because I do think in God of War 2018, Atreus' character development, I do think was kind of like too fast. But I do think the whole character development thing with Atreus in Ragnarok, I do think they did it better, only because we had the whole giant lore and the fact that Atreus was actually revealed to be Loki in God of War Ragnarok. Like, when I first played God of War 2018, I literally did not see that coming at all. And I do think they did do a good job with the world building as well, because in God of War 2018, you couldn't visit all 9 of the 9 realms. But with Ragnarok, they gave us a chance to visit them all. But unfortunately, one you can't visit in the post-game, that realm, of course, being Asgard, because you might know the reason why if you've played the game, because after I beat the final battle, Asgard was just blocked off. But you can still visit the other realms in order to 100% the game, get some loot you didn't get before, get access to some new areas thanks to Kratos obtaining the spear in the final third of the game. And I do think they did manage to come up with some new creative uses for the Leviathan Axe and the Blaze of Chaos as well. Only because there's a whole bunch of stuff in here we didn't see Kratos do with the weapons in God of War 2018. Because he actually uses the Blade of Chaos to climb or swing himself over different balconies or platforms, ledges, stuff like that. And the game is not really lackluster in the post-game at all. Although Atreus isn't really with you after you beat the game, it's just Kratos and Freya, unfortunately, with Atreus going off with Angrboda, I think back to the realm that Angrboda came from, which I will look it up, because I may have just forgotten the name of the realm, because since it's in Norse, I don't think I can pronounce it, but I do think this game has had some action-packed moments. So for the summary, the gameplay, I'm going to give a 9.5 out of 10. Although God of War Ragnarok may not be an open world game, I still really enjoyed the gameplay of it. Like, the action was so fast-paced, There's still so much to do within the game. They did come up with so many creative uses for the new weapons this time around, with the brand new weapon being the spear. I do think the gameplay was pretty good. The graphics, I'm going to give a 9, because although this may not be on the scale of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that had like cel-shaded graphics, I still think the graphics of God of War Ragnarok were pretty good. Because they did manage to like provide the detailed looks onto certain objects. The blood was all detailed and stuff. And I do think with the 9 realms actually having a bit of world building in here, I do think the world building looks stunning in this game. The story mode, I'm going to give a 9.3 out of 10. Yet again, an impactful finale to the God of War Norse saga. And I do think this game did have a really phenomenal story. And yet again, the final battle was just phenomenal. The fight with Odin, another fight with Thor, the God of Thunder. I have to give credit to the final battle. The content, I'm going to give a 10 out of 10, because the game's not really that lackluster with the content at the end of the game, but since the game was actually complete on release with no microtransactions, I'm slamming Gran Turismo 7 because it has microtransactions, but God of War Ragnarok does not have microtransactions, and that's a good thing that it does not, because I just feel like the whole microtransaction thing is getting a bit repetitive in gaming now. Like, I feel like microtransactions have become like this trend in modern day games to have like certain items you can buy with real money. God of War Ragnarok gets away from the trend and does its own thing, which I am happy that it does, because this game does not need microtransactions whatsoever, because I do think this game was great as it is without microtransactions. The music, I'm going to give a 9.4 out of 10. I love the score in this game. The music, I just felt the energy of Norse mythology within the music. And I just feel like the music was smashed. And I feel like this is probably one of my favorite soundtracks in gaming. Kind of like how the soundtrack of Black Panther is actually my favorite soundtrack in Marvel. God of War Ragnarok managed to nail it with the soundtrack. And it's on the same scale as Breath of the Wild, but does also create some Norse mythology feeling to it. For the online, since the game does not have online, I'm going to leave this one blank. The difficulty, this does depend on which difficulty you choose throughout the game. Like, when I played the game, I ended up playing Give Me Glory just to add a bit more difficulty to it, only because I don't feel like easy mode was quite up my alley. So I did go a bit harder and pick the 3rd level of the 5 levels to choose from. And some bosses in the game may have been a pain, at this difficulty, but I do think the game was just so fun and action-packed the harder it is. The length of the game, I'm probably going to say it's around 26 to 28 hours. Because from what I had been hearing before God of War Ragnarok came out, and when the first reviews came in, it was like, the reviews reported it was like 28 hours long. And for me, it took about 26. So I'm gonna say 26 to 28 hours here. The audience, I'm going to give it an 18 plus. Only because this game is more targeted to adults. I don't really see this game appealing to children whatsoever. Only because of how graphically violent this game is. And I do think with all the violence, the bad language, and the injury detail going on in this game, I don't really see this game being targeted to children. Not even teenagers. But I would probably say this game is an 18 plus. And finally, for the perk. I can't believe I'm saying this with God of War Ragnarok, but I'm going to give God of War Ragnarok the rare certified gold perk. Not many games get the certified gold perk, but God of War Ragnarok is the 7th game to hold this perk. Because God of War Ragnarok was just freaking brilliant of a game to hold the perk. I do think this game deserved it, mainly because of its good writing, phenomenal world building, fast-paced action, and being a phenomenal finale to the Norse saga. Along with Breath of the Wild, of course, the certified gold perk is what God of War Ragnarok deserves. And overall, I give God of War Ragnarok the rare 10 out of 10. I know it's rare that I give a game a 10, but God of War Ragnarok is the perfect finale to the Norse saga of the God of War franchise, thanks to its detailed storytelling, and phenomenal final battle. And there's nothing I would change about the game. I loved and enjoyed the game the way it was. And I do think this game is one I'm going to replay in New Game Plus after I've New Game Plus God of War 2018, but I just think this game was a masterpiece in its own right. And now, before we end the video, this isn't really a part of the review, but I have to say now, I'm going to do this every year from now on, and kind of like what I did with my Metroid Dread review last year, where I shared off my top 5 games from 2021, I thought I would share my top 5 games from 2022. Kind of like as a mini Game of the Year ceremony, but with this being the BB8's House Game of the Year, this will finally put the argument to rest on what my favorite game from 2022 is. And you're about to find out what it is. Because in 2021, Metroid Dread ended up getting the title for 2021. And the title for 2022 winner will be revealed shortly. So I thought we'll start off with the runner-ups and then we'll work our way up to the winner. In 5th place, we have Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. A brilliant Lego game. A game that literally just brought me back to the Lego games. And it was just so jam-packed, full of content that you can do throughout the game. Number 4, or 4th place, we have Overwatch 2. May not have been on the same height as the original game, but Overwatch 2 was still an enjoyable game. Regardless of all the changes that have been made compared to the original. But still, the new heroes being Kiriko, Junker Queen, and Sojourn, as well as the recently added Ramatra, were all fun to play as well. And now, for the top 3, in 3rd place, we have Pokemon Legends Arceus. And with my opinion of Scarlet and Violet not final yet, I thought I would announce that Pokemon Legends Arceus made it into 3rd place. Legends Arceus was just great. It took a different approach for the Pokemon franchise, and I thought it just did its own thing. Which, it had like the Monster Hunter vibe, and I thought, I do want to see more Legends games in the future, because I really enjoyed this one. Number 2 on the list, we have Splatoon 3. Yet again, I probably bet a few people have suspected games like Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and Stray to be on the list. But I've not played either of the 3, shockingly. But I do have plans to play Horizon Forbidden West because of the Burning Shores DLC that was announced at the Game Awards. But I do think Splatoon 3 was a fun online game to play. Like, I would probably say it was Nintendo's best online game of 2022, with the likes of Nintendo Switch Sports and Mario Strikers Battle League being a bit lackluster. Splatoon 3 at least gave me 70 to 75 fun hours of Turf Wars. And finally, to wrap it up, the game of the year, the BB8's house game of the year, goes to God of War Ragnarok. Like, God of War Ragnarok is definitely deserved to be the best game I've played in 2022. Unfortunately, I've not played Elden Ring, and most people would put Elden Ring at the top of their list. But since I hadn't played Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok holds the spot as my favourite game that I played this year. So, those are my top 5 games from 2022, at least the ones that I've played. So I thought, we're gonna end off the video here, and I thought, I really enjoyed God of War Ragnarok, and I do heavily recommend it to you guys. Like, if I'm not gonna lie, it's probably the best God of War game I've ever played. If not, it's in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Now, if you think about it, didn't quite beat The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but was still good to play. So guys, what did you think of my God of War Ragnarok review? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another review video like this one. I will be reviewing either Pokemon Scarlet and Violet or Sonic Frontiers next week, so don't forget to keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will see you all in a future review video. BB8 out.